Alright, today we are gonna reviewing the Stark VARG EX. I am going to talk about what's bad and what's good on this bike, and then we're gonna give it a conclusion. And we are going to find out if the Stark EX is ready to replace the traditional dirt bikes or not. And I couldn't resist not to show you guys something I found very interesting, and you will be able to see it on the end of the video. So when I bought this bike, I was really concerned not to have those things what traditional bike has. Talking about clutch, talking about gearing, the way the bike's set up. But then I put myself over it, and I started getting used to it. And I kind of enjoy and I kind of see the point why they don't have that stuff. So let's talk about what I don't like on this bike, and start with the plastic. The plastic looks beautiful, I know, and I think we are agreed on that, but it's a one solid piece. So if you break the rear fender, you cannot replace the rear fender alone, you have to replace the entire thing. You can see the benefit for that, because that way you can have a new look on the bike again. But the thing is, you cannot just replace the rear fender if you break it, and I actually bend it so it doesn't break. It's actually, the material that they use is pretty durable. I can see the line over here, but actually took the beating pretty good. So that's the one thing that I don't like. And the second thing is, I do not like the front brake. It's kind of mellow. I don't know if that's on my bike alone, but the initial braking, it's not grabbing the disc as it's supposed to be, as it's grabbing on my any other bikes. So I'm gonna fix that. Hopefully I'm changing the brake pads out, and hopefully that will take care of it. The EX doesn't have a system to stop the bike rolling back. Traditional bikes, you just leave it in gear and the bike stays where it's at. The EX, it just rolls back on its own. Hopefully Stark engineers come up with something, with a push of the button, we can have the bike in a parking or something simple.
So actually find one more, oh my god, so actually find one more thing what I don't like about this bike, and it's not really a big deal. Hopefully they're gonna fix it with the software or something, but when you actually fall with the bike won't stop. And if you lift up the bike and you hit the throttle by accident, you will moving the bike, which is not safe. When you lift up the bike, you can accidentally hit the throttle, and what that gives you, you're moving the bike like this, and you don't want that. Like this, you don't want that unnecessary movement. When you buy a regular bike, those bikes are set with a sensor. If the bike falls, it stops the engine. Over here, we don't have that.
But that's surprisingly kind of covering the things what I don't like on this bike. And this is not much. I can complain, like the seats are falling apart, like the cover kind of coming off of it. I don't know what's the deal with that. I have to take it apart to look into it. But this is something that I can fix. I don't see a big problem with it. And that's pretty much take care of it. And since I ride the way I ride, I don't really worry about the protection and stuff. Even if I throw the bikes away, I don't see any serious stuff happening with it. I may buy the gear cover protection. I don't want anything to happen over there, because that would be serious. I threw my KTM yesterday 2 times. First I broke my headlight, and second I broke the clutch. Over here, you don't have these problems because the way this bike built, once I don't have a clutch too. This is very flexible. The headlight mask is very flexible compared to the KTM, so hopefully I don't break it. But let's pretty much take care of the bad stuff. And I wanna tell you, if you are an older gentleman and you buying this bike, you have to deal with technology a lot, which is sometimes gets aggravating because it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. This bike doesn't work the traditional way, like start up the engine, warming up, put it in gear and go. You have to do everything through your phone, and sometimes the phone not connected to the bike, lack of problems. I don't know what's going on with it really, but I had this, I couldn't connect the phone to the bike, and I didn't know what my charge level is, so I just ended up going home. Luckily I was close to home, but that's kind of like a downside. Also the plus side is you can adjust everything to the phone. If you are on a trail, you want to share your location or map with your buddy, you can do that. If you don't like the way the bike delivers the power on certain RPM, or let's say more like the certain throttle position, then you can change that on the fly. You can change the power modes. You can have from 10 to all the way up to 80 horsepower. Nobody else really offered that for you besides these guys. If you look at it, this manufacturer, Stark VARG, is on the market with the EX for 3 months and 3 years of development with the Blasusiak, and compared to what you get for that short amount of time, it's huge. When KTM entered the market, it took them years after years, and then even after 5 years they were still not in the competition level like this bike is. The other good benefit is when you're buying this bike, you can buy it by setting up the suspension the way you want it, soft, medium, hard. I recommend you to buy the medium. The reason for that, because the KYB suspension has a small spring up here, it's like 5-inch long, and that gives you an initial plushness, and that's really important when you go through rocks. You know, you don't want the bike, the front walking on you. You just want to have suck it up, that object, what you're going through at the moment, and that's what that gives you. They're changing that little spring out, and it will be initially soft, and then it's going to get hard as it goes in. So you want to have the medium, and if you are a bigger fellow, you still can harden the suspension up. That's not a problem, but you have the initial plush feeling. Luckily, you start offering that for you, so you can choose the suspension, again, soft, medium, and hard. Also, you can choose the rear tire. It gives you 3 different, you can choose the tire itself. It gives you 3 different compound. This is the street tire, but you can choose a gummy with a mousse setup if you want to. You can have a disc guard, front and rear, if you want to. You can have a titanium kit on your bike if you want to. And again, the big thing about it, you can set the bike up like that when you purchase it. So you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to do any discovering, what works, what not. You're just getting it done, and you have the bike out of the box, and you can just roll it. No issue whatsoever. What I like about this bike, it's actually growing on you. When you buy a bike, you just normally getting used to the lack of this and the lack of that. You just have to get used to it, the way the bike works, in order to ride it. And that's why everybody tells you to do a lot of practice to be good at riding. On this bike, you can be good without doing that much of a practice, because the bike just gives you more than any other bike on the planet. And that's a big statement. What I mean by, I was out here yesterday with my KTM, and I felt like I'm riding on a piece of log. It just want to go straight compared to this one. The KTM is a fantastic bike. That's the only bike I can compare to this one, because it's in a level with this bike in a way. If I want to maneuver the bike, all I gotta do is just changing my weight on the foot pegs. If I want to turn left, I put more weight on the left foot pegs, and the bike pulls that way. If I want to go right, I just put more weight on the right foot pegs, and the bike goes that way. That's really comes handy when you're going uphill and you have to change direction. All you gotta do is just to put the weight into the area where you wanna change the direction. And with this bike, you can do that very, very easily. Hiding the weight extremely well, And the other thing is, when you go on uphill, it doesn't lose power. On the end of the hill, when you feel like your traditional powered bike is suffering and you start clutching, over here you don't have to do that. You just keep going all the way until the end. That's a huge benefit. Another huge benefit of this bike has the battery life on the mountains. So if you complain the EX battery is crap because you're doing supermoto with it, it is, because it's not built for that. If you're complaining riding on the street or riding Baja, the battery is not lasting you as it should, it is, because it's not built for that. It's built specifically for enduro, and when you're riding enduro with this bike, the battery gonna last for you more than you do, because I've been riding this bike quite some time, so I have a pretty good idea of all of these circumstances, because I ride fast pace and all kinds of different type of trail. But when I'm up here, the regen set up at 70%, I cannot ride as much as the power on the battery lasts. So for the suspension, this suspension, I keep saying that, is better than any stock suspension. The initial plushness when I'm talking about, it's so noticeable. I can literally attack the uphills with the rocks on it, and I can just go through it no problem. I don't need to slow down. I don't need to worry about the front maybe get misplaced. It just goes wherever I put the front on, and I'm riding on a street tire, and I still be able to do that. And there is no gummy tire over here, and it just goes up like nothing. I mean, this bike is really a hill climbing monster. As far as the wheels, I don't see a problem with it right now. The foot pegs, it's holding up pretty good. Everything is holding up pretty good so far. It takes the beating very well, but this is not really, I don't really have 100 hours in there. But as of right now, I put this bike to a multiple different tests, and every single time it just surprised me how good this bike is. I mean, I truly wish I can complain more, because I like that. I'm really picky of my stuff. Make sure, you know, the little nuances work the way it's supposed to, and I cannot find, you know, more problems with this bike. But Stark engineers did such a good job of developing this bike with Teddy Blazuzziak. I just cannot find more problems with it as of now. I rode this bike down south in the sand, I rode it up in the mountains, I rode it on the street, and every single time it just works exceptionally well. It just not disappoint at all. So the best way to explain how good this bike is, really, that three gentlemen just showed up not too long ago when I started the filming, and they're not even riding on the main road. They are riding on you know, unmarked trail. Like, they're doing seriously hard competition stuff, and they from around here, so they know the area very well. Their bike was set up, all three of them ride with KTM or Husqvarna 300, and the bike was set up properly, gummy, you know, hard stuff. And I give them the bike, and after each of them came back, they all said one thing: this is the future.
Today I'm exhausted. I rode 5.5 hours and 58% still remaining. I don't have anything left. I'm just cruising down on the hill, exhausted. The bike performed outstandingly. Like, if you don't want to practice, you just want to have a bike what you're gonna go on and you be better than most of the average rider, you may want to consider this one, because on this bike you don't need to practice like you do on the regular bike, because you need to get used to the clutch engaging, you need to get used to how you're changing the gears, you need to get used to manipulating the clutch when you're going uphill, you need to make sure the bike not gonna stall on you. Over here, none of that. No, just an easy, convenient push the button and go and outperform most of your buddies. that's what this bike is. Stark really did something what stands out, like the Tesla in the car industry when they built the car. As we know, the Tesla EV cars, and that changed the world completely. And Stark, on the other hand, going to do the same thing. More people discovering how good this bike is, more people will shift or change. I still recommend to keep the other bike just for backup if you can. You cannot go wrong with it. But only reason why you don't see a lot of Stark on the road or on the trail, because apparently they cannot make enough. The demand is just so high, they cannot make enough bike. These three guys who I talked to earlier, they were wondering how long is the back order is, because they were seriously considering. And the back ordering is so crazy. Stark actually making these YouTube videos showing people how backed up they are. They try to be transparent, which is I very much appreciate. And yeah, Stark VARG, ladies and gentlemen, changing the industry slowly but surely.